Ringmaster is an intelligence hero described as a support, nuker, escape, disabler. His first spell is Tame the Beast. This is a nuke that you can channel for as short or long as you want, up to 4 seconds. It also fears enemies it hits. The longer you channel it, the more damage and longer fear it applies, but it reduces the AoE of the hit. When you go to cast it, you can see the large AoE where it starts with the weakest hit, and the smaller AoE where it ends after 4 seconds for the strongest hit. You can stop channeling it at any point between the large and small AoE. Cast range items can increase the cast range of this spell, and Bloodstone increases the AoE of the hit. Ringmaster currently has 3 talents that affect Tame the Beast. One to increase the AoE, another to give him debuff immunity while channeling it, and the last to increase the min and max damage. A little timer shows above Ringmaster as he channels it, which is only visible to him and his allies. This spell can be nice to quickly stop someone's TP, farm a creep wave or neutral camp later on, and secure range creeps in the laning phase. His second spell, Escape Act, is essentially just a saving tool. It's a similar idea to Shadow Demon's Disruption, but works a bit differently. He can use it on himself or ally heroes. When boxed up, the unit gains phased movement speed, slow resistance, bonus magic resistance, and bonus movement speed. They're also untargetable, muted, silenced, and disarmed. The box opens up after the duration, or if the unit moves 500 units away. There's a faint circle on the ground showing this range, which is visible to both teams. This is great to save an ally who is locked down by something like Reaper's Scythe or Duel, or is caught in something like Chronosphere or Black Hole. The unit can still be hit and damaged by spells, and will continue to take damage from debuffs. Since it makes the unit untargetable, Zeus's ult doesn't hit the unit while in the box, similar to how it doesn't hit Dark Willow when in Shadow Realm. It can be used on a debuff immune ally. The cast range can be increased with cast range items, but Bloodstone has no effect on it. He currently has 2 talents that affect Escape Act, one that increases the cast range, the other makes it now apply a strong dispel and flying to the boxed unit. The box doesn't appear to be flying, but if you try to move over cliffs, you'll see that it does work. This talent makes it an even better saving tool, similar to an Oracle ult that applies a strong dispel. And I want to note that Escape Act without this talent does not apply any type of dispel, so this is a great upgrade for it. His third spell, Impalement Arts, is a long-range dagger that damages and slows the enemy unit it hits. It has an initial impact damage, but then does damage every second based on the unit's max HP if it's a hero. If it's a creep, it'll do a flat damage per second. As you level it up, you get more charges, up to a max of 4, but there's a small cooldown after firing 1, so you can't machine gun someone down. The movement slow is only for a short moment after getting hit, but it's a large movement slow. The dagger gives vision around it in Fog of War, which can be helpful for scouting enemies in Roche or finding enemies in trees. The fixed damage it does to creeps can be nice for securing range creeps in lane. You just have to be careful about when you use it. There are currently 2 talents that affect Impalement Arts. One that allows it to penetrate one target, so it'll go through the first target and hit a second if it finds one, having the same effect. The other talent is increasing the bleed and slow duration. The slow does not pierce debuff immunity, the damage does, and both the slow and damage are dispellable. Cast range items work for increasing the range, and Bloodstone does not work for increasing its AoE. His ultimate, Wheel of Wonder, is an AoE damage, slow, nuke, and taunt. When used, it rolls out, knocking enemies aside and breaking trees along the path and at the landing location. This knock does not do damage or stop channeling. Once it stops rolling, it starts dealing damage and slowing enemies in the area. The AoE damage does 2 hits each second, meaning it does 16 total hits for its full 8-second duration. After the 8-second duration, the wheel explodes, dealing a large amount of magic damage. If an enemy hero faces toward the wheel for more than 0.5 seconds, they'll be taunted towards it. This also starts a timer, which can prematurely explode the wheel, dealing the same nuke damage it did after the full 8 seconds it can last. The taunted hero will be taunted until the wheel explodes. You can tell if a hero is facing towards the wheel by this little red indication above them, and the timer can be started by illusions. If an enemy hero triggers the wheel and gets taunted by it, it will not taunt all enemies in the AoE. It only taunts them if they face towards it for 0.5 seconds. If an enemy is debuff immune before facing toward the wheel, they will not start the timer to trigger the explosion. They won't get this red indication above their hero. But if the enemy faces toward the wheel, gaining this red indication above their hero, then they gain debuff immunity, it'll still trigger the timer for the wheel to explode. I'm not sure if this is intended or not, as it seems a bit inconsistent. Let me know what you think. The wheel can technically go for longer than 8 seconds. Once a player triggers the wheel and is taunted by it, it starts the timer before it explodes. So let's say the wheel was at 7.99 seconds of its duration and someone started the timer. The wheel will stay alive and start ticking for the duration of the timer before finally exploding. The wheel gives lots of ground vision, even more than an observer ward. If you're able to get it on a cliff, it's an insane amount of vision. It also gives vision as it rolls out. The wheel has a minimum range, meaning you can't place it directly on top or in front of you. Wheel of Wonder can combo well with Tame the Beast because it applies a fear, so you can use that to fear the enemy into looking at the wheel for 0.5 seconds. Use a full channel Tame the Beast on an enemy, then throw Wheel of Wonder behind them, or the other way around, throwing out the wheel first. The cast range of Wheel of Wonder can be increased, and the AoE of its damage and slow can be increased by Bloodstone. Now let's talk about his Aghanim Scepter and Shard upgrades. For his Aghanim Scepter upgrade, okay, what about his Shard? This grants a new ability, Spotlight. Ringmaster shines a spotlight that sweeps over an area for 8 seconds. Enemies in the spotlight have a chance to miss attacks and are revealed if invisible. The light also does a lot of damage to illusions. The mischance from the spotlight does not go through BKB. This is a great utility spell for the mischance and invis reveal, but maybe more importantly is the vision it gives. The range is great, allowing you to scout areas before moving in. Maybe that's to scout enemies in Roche or a high ground before moving up. The cast range can be increased with cast range items, and the AoE can be increased with Bloodstone. Finally, we'll talk about Ringmaster's facets and innate. First, we'll start with the facets. Alright, on to the innate. Yeah, Ringmaster has no facets right now. Ringmaster's innate is Dark Carnival Barker, which is an extremely unique ability. Every time an enemy hero dies within 925 range of Ringmaster, he gets a souvenir charge. There are 3 souvenir charges he can get, and each one is basically its own ability. Funhouse Mirror, Strongman Tonic, and Whoopee Cushion. From what I've noticed, the souvenir you get is always random, but you'll never get the same one twice in a row. These souvenirs stack up, so if you have one, then get another, it'll go under the oldest one, creating a stack of souvenirs. Each souvenir has a 3-second cooldown, so you can't spam them if you have a large stack. Now let's talk about what each one does. First is Funhouse Mirror, which creates an imperfect illusion of Ringmaster. Using Funhouse Mirror grants a brief 0.2 seconds of invulnerability, similar to using an illusion rune or Manta style, so you can technically dodge some spells with it. You can have multiple of these illusions up at once. Next is Strongman Tonic, which can be used on yourself or ally heroes. This increases the target's strength by 5 plus 1.5 per Ringmaster's level for 8 seconds. After the first 4 seconds, the effects start deteriorating over time. This can be dispelled. Last is Whoopee Cushion, which is similar to the inactive neutral item Tumbler's Toy, but with an extra stink. It propels your hero forward, allowing you to get over impassable terrain. It also leaves behind a cloud for 3 seconds, which slows enemies. You cannot use it while rooted. If you have any other notes on Ringmaster and his abilities, like interesting mechanics or interactions or fun strats, let all of us know in the comments, and let me know what you think of Ringmaster so far. As always, shout out to the GOATs for supporting me on Patreon: Uma, Tilted Ward, the Titan Forge, Yuri, Mark, Aaron, Ole, and Jay. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I hope you learned something new with me.